Hello friends! So as you might have noticed, I skipped posting Furiosa and Mad Max Saga last week, so I posted a poll on YouTube asking you guys which movie I should share my thoughts on this week. I don't want to fall behind, so I planned to double post and leave picking the second movie up to you guys. As of writing this episode, as you can tell by the episode title, A Quiet Place Day 1 had the most votes. But before we start talking about this movie, you know when you want to tell your friend about a movie, but you don't want to spoil it for them because the marketing really doesn't give anything away, and honestly, what it does give is completely different from what you got. Yeah, that's me talking to you right now because everything I want to say about this movie and why it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was full on crying in the theater, you guys. If I explain, it will absolutely spoil the movie. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different than usual. Please bear with me. I really don't want to be vague, but I'm going to gloss over some things, and maybe somewhere in the episode, I'll drop a spoiler warning to get all my feelings out because the low ratings I have been seeing for this movie are so undeserved. Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome back. It's your movie buddy here, ready to dive into the next movie on the shortening list of movies that I need to catch up on. Whether you're a longtime subscriber, follower, or a new face, I am thrilled to have you here. If you're looking for detailed plot breakdowns, you won't find them here. But stick around for my spoiler-free thoughts and honest opinions, usually on the latest releases, but right now I'm just trying to get back on track. And if you're here with me on YouTube, you can find timestamps in the video's description to jump straight to the sections that you're most interested in. New reviews drop every Friday, so hit that subscribe button on YouTube and follow on Spotify to stay updated. Got a movie that you want me to talk about? Drop a comment on YouTube, send me a DM on Instagram, or let me know on the podcast. And yes, my Instagram will be updated eventually. So grab your popcorn, get your tissues, you guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, and let's jump into today's episode on A Quiet Place Day 1. When New York City comes under attack from an alien invasion, a woman and other survivors try to find a way to safety. They soon learn that they must remain absolutely silent as the mysterious creatures are drawn to the slightest sound. As always, I want to dive into the themes of the film, or at least my take on them. I was really taken with the idea of human compassion and how nuanced this movie was with that. Now, I know you might be thinking, aliens, survival, and everyone running around. Well, yes, but it's so much more than just that. The core of this story is the deep and meaningful relationship that is formed between Samira, played by Lupita Nyong'o, and Eric, played by Joseph Quinn. It's about people being able to lean on each other and build strength and courage from each other. All right, usually this is where we dive into character development, but I don't think I can really get into that without spoiling anything about the movie. What I will say is that Eric's character development is incredible and realistic. I do want to use this section instead to talk about some of the amazing technical elements that really elevate this movie, like the sound design, CGI, and the overall vibe. First up, the sound design is incredible. I especially love a specific scene where mundane sounds that we might not even notice, like shoes on concrete or the rolling wheels of a suitcase, are utilized to heighten the suspense and tension. The way this movie had me stressed out. Next, let's talk about the CGI. It's fantastic, especially in the moments when it really counts. I think throughout the movie, the CGI is actually really good, and there are some close-ups of the Death Angels where you can really just appreciate the amount of work put into the creature design. Now, let's talk about the vibes. The vibes are not it. It was so intense, and I was crying so much. The atmosphere of the film is so tense, and there are so many great moments of suspense. A lot of these moments revolve around Frodo the cat, and I think these moments could have come across as gimmicky, but they played out really well. There are so many masterful moments, but I especially love when we as an audience can see the danger, but the characters don't. I also love moments like the briefcase scene from the trailer. It's not an actual loud thing, but it might as well be an explosion because of the tension it creates. Knowing something loud is going to happen and that it needs to happen for the characters to move forward, I love the tension those types of moments bring. Finally, the music. The score is fantastic, but I specifically love the use of Nina Simone's Feeling Good. I am still not over that, but you guys, we gotta keep pushing forward. The sound design is just amazing. Whether it's the use of sound or the strategic lack of it, not only does it build tension, but it also helps to tell the story in a powerful way. Moving away from the sound design, vibes, and CGI, let's talk about the acting. Oh yeah, we're getting right into it. Lupita Nyong'o is incredible in everything she does, and if you do not agree, that's okay, just keep it to yourself. What a gem, what an incredible presence. Lupita as Sam is fascinating to watch. I love seeing the deadpan and sarcastic woman start to turn into someone who is more open and honest. Lupita really brings so much pain and history to the surface, and I love her performance in this movie. While she does have plenty of dialogue, there is so much silence in this film that forces the actors to communicate these emotions without words. She truly excels in this, and she draws you in. Well, she drew me in because of her relationship with life and survival. Lupita delivers an incredible performance that just yanks at the heartstrings, and she conveys these ideas so well. Too well. I cried so many times, you guys. Now, let's talk about Joseph Quinn. The last time I saw him was in Stranger Things, and I remember thinking he had a lot of potential, and then I didn't see him in anything for a while. Now he's in Day 1, Gladiator 2, and next year's Fantastic Four. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but he's a really good actor, and I'm really looking forward to his future projects. As Eric, Joseph delivers a realistic and grounded character. I think seeing how scared he is, the anxiety and fear of isolation is real. It couldn't be me. These aliens show up, I'm out. Anyway, I really love to see Eric's journey throughout the film, but especially how he changed in the presence of Lupita's Sam. I think Joseph really delivers that fear, the fear of being alone and being alone during an invasion, that like end of the world scenario, and his performance is incredibly convincing. Again, it's not just the dialogue, but the nonverbal acting as well. He absolutely commits to the role, and he does really well in holding his own on screen with Lupita. Honorable mentions go to Jimon Hansu as Henry and Alex Wolff as Ruben. Both actors draw your attention and deliver fantastic performances with the time they have on screen. Moving on from the incredible performances, let's talk about the story. I love it. I love that it just feels like we're being included in Sam's journey, and that's really what this movie is about. It's not about the aliens or survival. That is all secondary to Sam's personal journey. The writing is fantastic, but I can see how Frodo, Sam's cat, being around for that long might feel unrealistic. Personally, I didn't mind at all, but there are several moments where Frodo truly stressed me out. Back to the writing, I love how the characters are written. Sam and Eric, I love their relationship and how Eric really leans on Sam for emotional support. It's an interesting dynamic that I really enjoyed seeing explored so much. Now, I know you might be eager to get to the comparison section, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys as usual. I have seen both of the previous installments, but it's been a long time. And part 2, I think I've only seen it once when it was released back in 2020. Either I watched it in theaters or I watched it at home. I've been seeing mixed reviews though. Some people say that this is the best movie out of the 3, and others are saying it's the worst. What I can say is that it's completely different from A Quiet Place and part 2. All right, let's wrap up with my final thoughts on the movie. After going over what I could without spoilers, the real question remains, is it worth your time? In my opinion, yes, this movie is incredible. Now, I know I just mentioned that some people said that this was the worst out of the franchise, and a lot of people were saying that it was because it wasn't what they were expecting, and I can see where they're coming from. So I posted my thoughts on FURIOSA, A Mad Max Saga today too, and one of the things that stuck out to me is that that movie was marketed as action, 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 and we got something a little different. I think the same could be said for Day 1. As fans of the first 2 films and from the marketing, we're expecting more of the same, or at least something similar. Intense, survival, action. And for some reason, a lot of people were expecting more information on them aliens. But instead, we get a heartfelt story. Interestingly enough, unlike my first viewing of FURIOSA, I don't actually mind that we got something different than what I was expecting when I was seated in the theater. I am a fan of storytelling, and this just happened to be a story that really resonated with me. Of course, every movie has its pros and cons, and people's preferences vary. We're gonna get into some criticism of the movie, and I'll share my thoughts. I am going to break this into 2 sections though, because I gotta add some spoilers that might not really be spoilers. Personally, I didn't know about these elements going into the movie, and based on the amount of negative reviews that I saw, a lot of people didn't know either. It's also not part of the synopsis or the trailers, so I'm gonna add a spoiler warning just in case. If you do not want spoilers, please skip ahead. I'll leave a timestamp in the description on YouTube and Spotify so that you can skip the spoiler section and pick back up when we're done. But if you're staying locked in with me, let's get into it. I was surprised at how poorly Sam's journey for pizza was received. I have to say, as soon as I saw that Sam was in hospice care in the beginning of the movie, I knew I wasn't going to be emotionally prepared for the rest of this film. I know someone out there can relate, and I've never actually talked to you guys about this before, but my Oma, my grandmother, she dealt with cancer and hospice care, so seeing this disease represented like this was important, I think. I feel like we're so used to seeing characters trying to survive, so to see the idea of fatalism and the setup being followed through in an incredibly freeing way was such an interesting experience that left me in shambles. I do think it's important to point out that you don't need life experience like mine and so many others to see this all play out and to appreciate it. I think I was just surprised at the comments. One person said that the scene in Sam's apartment made no sense. I think it was crucial for their relationship, showing Sam starting to open up, and Eric, he's getting the opportunity to learn more about her. Not to mention, they're finally in a safe place. Speaking of Eric, I saw a comment that said he contributed nothing to the story. That's pretty heavy considering he does so much for Sam throughout the movie. Not only does he have his own journey, finding his courage and strength, but he really reminds Sam to live. I feel like this section is a little all over the place, and I do apologize. We're gonna touch back on Sam's journey for pizza. I saw someone say in a Google review that, quote, "All we did is follow a suicidal person who wanted a slice of pizza in Harlem at all costs in the middle of aliens ravaging this city," unquote. Someone also said her trying to get pizza was unnecessary, and someone else said it was a side quest. It's hard for me to understand brushing Sam off as a suicidal character after seeing this movie. Maybe I'm wrong, it's possible, but she could die at any moment. She even says this in the movie. She was told she had years left, then months, then days. My Oma experienced that too. And again, the idea of fatalism comes up. And fatalism is the acceptance of all things and events as inevitable, submission to fate. I saw a few results, but I think this one fits really well. She's accepted that she is going to die from cancer or the aliens. Death is going to happen and she can't stop it. And the pizza? The pizza is more than a side quest. It is everything. It's home. It's her memories. It's her past. Ugh. Let me get out of my feelings. Let's get out of the spoiler zone and let's get into some more critiques about this movie. Someone said the monsters were underwhelming, and I think you realize that the monsters are the sides to the main course. It's not about the aliens. As much as I love them aliens, it's about Sam's journey, featuring aliens. I did see a few people say that we don't learn anything more about the monsters. That is one I can kinda agree with. I wasn't expecting to learn more going into this movie, but we actually did get a little bit about their food source, but it wasn't really elaborated on. Finally, I saw a comment that said the cat conveniently makes zero noise. That is true. It didn't take me out of the movie because not all pets or animals make noise, but I can see how that can take somebody out of the movie. I think if you go into this movie expecting more of the same, then you might be disappointed, especially if you're not able to kind of pivot and go with the flow of a suspense drama that's really character driven, featuring aliens. I was able to get there, and once I did, I was much more focused on Sam, and I love them aliens, but I was completely engaged in her journey and how it would end. It's definitely not the survival action flick that the trailers are selling. Finally, let's talk about the scaries. This is not a scary movie in the traditional horror sense, but it masterfully executes suspense and tension. Now, that's not to say that there aren't any jump scares. There are plenty of jump scares, and I absolutely jumped. Have you had the chance to watch A Quiet Place Day 1 yet? If not, what's holding you back? Is it not your cup of tea, not your usual genre? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts after today's episode. And if you've already watched it, I want to know your take. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or did you fall somewhere in between? Share your thoughts, opinions, and reactions in the comments below. I am all ears. As a fan of the franchise, I think A Quiet Place Day One is a compelling addition. You don't need to have seen the previous 2 movies to appreciate it. Day One stands on its own as an incredible movie and a captivating character-based drama. And the aliens are there too. The acting is outstanding and the story is memorable, with Sam being such a complex and compelling character. This is a wonderful movie that I think suffered from maybe misleading marketing and the expectations of fans who either didn't get it, which is totally fine, or wanted something more aligned with the last 2 movies, which is also totally fine. I read online that the character of Sam was inspired by director Michael Sarnowski's desire to subvert expectations of the genre by focusing on someone who had a different relationship to death and survival. And it absolutely left me in tears. That idea is the core of the film, and while there are so many layers, I think if you go into this movie knowing it's going to be different and more character focused, it is absolutely worth your time. All right, you guys, before we wrap up, I want to talk about what movies I'll be sharing my thoughts on next. I'm still chipping at the movie block I got stuck behind, but you guys, it is finally the moment I have all been waiting for. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. If you've been keeping up with me each week, then you already know I've been reminding you guys non-stop that I put in all the work for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I watched all 9 movies. I recently read my notes back too. I take notes while I watch the movies, and I was really into it, you guys. Now, did I need to watch the entire franchise? 9 movies, including the 2001 Tim Burton experience? No, I did not. Actually, yes. Seeing the entire franchise has altered my DNA, and I am a different person now. What I'm trying to say is I'm really looking forward to that episode. After that, Bad Boys Ride or Die, and then Maxine. And if you got the last episode, then you know that I finally watched X and Pearl 2. That was interesting. Once I'm all caught up, I've got a list of podcast exclusive episodes I'm going to start working on. As for upcoming theater releases, I finally got tickets for Longlegs, which I was stressing about because the local theater didn't have any showtimes, but I think they added some. It came up really weird on Cinemark's website, but I bought the tickets and we'll see what happens. I also today, the tickets went on sale for Alien Romulus. I got tickets. I'm very excited for that movie. And the only other movie that I have tickets for is Deadpool and Wolverine, and I am beyond excited for that movie. If there's a movie that you are excited about and you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments below or send me a message on Instagram at A.Rocket.Review. Your suggestions are always welcome and I love hearing from you guys. But for now, a huge thank you to everyone who stuck around with me to the end of the video. Last time we talked, I shared my thoughts on The Strangers Chapter 1, and because I skipped a week and I didn't want to fall behind, I also posted my thoughts today on FURIOSA, a Mad Max Saga. If you haven't checked out one or both of those episodes yet, they are just a click away. If you're watching today's episode on YouTube, you can find the links to both of those videos in the top right corner. And for my podcast listeners, both episodes are available for you as well. Your feedback is always appreciated, so please share your thoughts on YouTube in the comments below. And if you're listening on the Spotify app, swipe up and let me know what you're thinking. Do you agree with my take? Do you have a different opinion? Do you think Day One is as good or better than A Quiet Place and Part 2? Let's get the conversation going. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. For those who prefer on-the-go listening, maybe while you're getting ready for your day, maybe while you're at work, follow me on Spotify so you don't miss out on our podcast exclusive episodes, which I promise are on their way. And hey, if you're on Instagram, follow me at A.Rocket.Review for sneak peeks and behind the scenes content. And honestly, that's just me going to the movie theater and watching movies at home. Feel free to hop into my DMs with movie suggestions or just to chat about films. Your support honestly means so much to me, and your engagement helps our community grow. Whether it's on YouTube, the podcast, or on Instagram, your presence is greatly appreciated. But until next time, spread positivity, be safe, take care of yourself, and happy movie watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.